and welcome to Epiphytic Cacti. If you are new to epiphytic cacti and want to dip your toes in or are looking for a specific aesthetic in your home, this new series is for you. Let's begin with trailing epiphytic cacti with chaining and angled stems. These are sure to create an interesting focal point in any home or garden. There are a few Rhipsalis with this appearance, from most to least common: Paradoxa subspecies Paradoxa, Pacheco-leonis subspecies catanulata, Pacheco-leonis subspecies Pacheco-leonis, Paradoxa subspecies Septentrionalis, and trigonoides. Rhipsalis paradoxa subspecies Paradoxa is the most common and is the thickest of the bunch. The vibe is considerably more bold and dramatic. As a large specimen, this is tough to beat as a hanging plant. As a small specimen, it's great tucked into or sitting on top of a shelf. It's one of the most popular Rhipsalis for a good reason. It's hard to believe a plant like this exists, and it was very clearly well named. It's fantastical. I can't imagine seeing such a plant in its natural habitat. I would have loved to be a fly on a rainforest tree to see the shock and awe the first time a person saw this plant in the wild. It's no wonder it quickly became a popular houseplant. I've had mine for a few years now, and it's grown quite large. The larger it gets, the more I fall in love with it. If yours ever flowers, you will be in for a wonderful, beautiful, fragrant surprise. Rhipsalis paradoxa subspecies Septentrionalis is a little more uncommon and is about half the thickness of subspecies Paradoxa. It gives a slightly different vibe and shows the true growth pattern of subspecies Paradoxa. It is actually comprised of many shorter stem segments, but unlike subspecies Paradoxa, it lacks the weight for the stems to properly trail, you might say. Instead, they fan out. This gives this plant a wider, bushier appearance. The name Septentrionalis is in reference to its more northern growing location in the wild. You can sometimes find it mislabeled as Rhipsalis paradoxa minor in cultivation. While the vibe is different, this plant still has a place in my home. It more easily procures slightly smaller, typically a little more yellowish flowers than subspecies Paradoxa. They are just as fragrant. Rhipsalis Pacheco-leonis subspecies catanulata is more common, and again, for good reason. It has the thinnest, longest stems of the chaining group, making it a more delicate, elegant choice. I think people often pick up that something is distinctly different between Paradoxa and Pacheco-leonis subspecies catanulata. Outside of just Paradoxa having 4 times as thick stems, they don't really have the same growth habit. While Paradoxa is completely comprised of similarly sized, shorter stems, Pacheco-leonis grows quite long, continuous stems of all various lengths. These can get extremely long and beautiful. This is what makes this species look more elegant and less bold. Just like the stems, the flowers are considerably smaller than those of Paradoxa, and I don't remember them being fragrant at all. They are typically a bit pink. It is often found mislabeled as Rhipsalis paradoxa minor, which sounds somewhat like a legitimate botanical name, but is a made-up commercial name. Similar to Rhipsalis paradoxa major, neither are botanically recognized. The two species are not very close in relation. It's a bit fun as somehow these two distinct species evolved the exact same chaining trait in their stems completely independently of each other. Not to get too nerdy, but this phenomena is known as convergent evolution. However, the true name of this species doesn't actually disappoint. Catanulata literally means little chain. Pacheco-leonis is in honor of the Brazilian botanist Antonio Pacheco-Leão, once the director of the botanical garden Jardim Botânico in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I quite often find the botanical species names have beautiful origins like this, and I find I always want to honor that. This makes the most beautiful hanging plant as a large specimen, but again, even a small specimen is a curiosity tucked into a shelf or dangling from a windowsill. Rhipsalis Pacheco-leonis subspecies Pacheco-leonis is less common. It has a completely different vibe, one that might be called a hot mess. Don't get me wrong, I love all my Rhipsalis in their own way. This typically starts out as what can only be described as an actual fuzzy caterpillar, and eventually producing the long stems this species is known for. The chain pattern in this one is not so strong. Sometimes it's not even really there. Eventually, though, the caterpillar does turn into a butterfly. This usually requires a lot of patience as it happens with age. It is a slower grower too. There are a few clones out there, and my favorite is this more orderly looking one that has great pinkish flowers. When it's young, it can easily be displayed as a standing plant. As it ages, it will eventually turn into a gloriously long trailing plant. Rhipsalis trigonoides, formerly Rhipsalis trigona, is less common. The name is in reference to the consistently three-angled stems. This is one of my all-time favorite Rhipsalis. I love the way this plant grows. It's striking and dramatic. Once again, the larger it grows, the more in love with it I become. In the wild, it would be easy to mistake this species for Rhipsalis paradoxa. The stems, however, don't tend to have such a consistent chain pattern. They do kind of twist and contort, but it's more random. The stems tend to be shorter and fan out a bit, giving it a lush, full, trailing look. Not just the plant is striking. If yours flowers, they are rather large and pink. They're also fragrant, and the fruit is also fairly large and a remarkable shade of purple. These plants seem to have come from a dream. They are remarkable and incredibly unique and unusual in the best way. There are two Rhipsalis with angled, extremely long stem segments and a very long trailing habit. Both are equally rare in cultivation, although both are becoming more available. Rhipsalis sulcata is a surprisingly beautiful plant. It is entirely comprised of 3 to 5 angled, slender stems. The stems can grow quite long. The name sulcata means furrowed in reference to the grooves in the stems. This specimen was grown from 3 single stem segment cuttings started just under 3 years ago. It's not shy about growing or flowering. It makes for an exceptionally well-behaved houseplant. In no time, it will create an impressive trailing plant and flower almost year-round. It has a slightly funky yet elegant vibe. Unfortunately, it was so rare in cultivation as Rhipsalis ewaldiana was commercially distributed incorrectly as Rhipsalis sulcata. It was almost completely forgotten among casual growers. Luckily, it's making a strong comeback. It's quite fun to grow it upright as a few sticks sticking up in a pot, and then watching it slowly start trailing and needing to be hung. Rhipsalis like these are the mental image most of us have when we think of jungle cactus. Long, glorious specimen covering entire trees like thick masses of long green Rapunzel hair. We put them in our homes and dream of someday visiting the cloud forests where they grow. Rhipsalis flagelliformis is the plant of my dreams. It's fuzzy, long, and branchy. Every time I look at this plant, I feel rewarded. These were grown from single cuttings, which is how it goes with some plants that are more rare. It's cute when it's young with its furry stems sticking up out of the pot. It quickly produces many more fuzzy stems growing out of everywhere and every which way. Luckily, it grows quite quickly like most Rhipsalis and soon becomes a furry pendant plant. It's soft to the touch and extremely petable. I challenge you to walk by it and not cop a few. It was named after Cactus flagelliformis, which isn't so soft and petable. Flagelliformis means whip-shaped. Insert several jokes here. It is a plant I tend to keep close and in prized areas of my home that I visit often. It's also remarkable when it flowers, as the flowers are abundant all up and down the stems in continuous bursts, the way many cacti do. If it sets fruit for you, it has the ability to be the most interesting display of fruit you will ever see. The small round fruit can be so abundant they can cover the entire stem. Rhipsalis often give off jungle vine vibes. These vines just have a mass of fur, making them a bit funky and, well, cute. This is only less common because it is a fairly newer discovery. Rhipsalis burley marx is a seed-grown cultivar from Rhipsalis flagelliformis. It's another favorite as it has the same long, beautiful trailing habit. Alas, though, it is not furry and the stems are more slender. It does have a faint chaining pattern in the stems. In all other regards, though, it is very similar to a typical Rhipsalis flagelliformis. The vibe is more elegant with its very slim stems. This plant will need trimming with age as it will quickly hit the floor. There are a few Rhipsalis with angled stems with a bit more of a chunky, bushy vibe from most to least common. Macranthiform kerbergii, Pentaptera, Dismilis form Dismilis, and Serioides. Rhipsalis dismilis form Dismilis is a confused plant. It's not sure if it wants to look like Rhipsalis trigonoides, flacosa, or Pacheco-leonis. It is close in relation to both trigonoides and flacosa. It only superficially resembles Pacheco-leonis. There are many clones and probably more than one species among the plants under this classification. This is the most common clone, giving off trigonoides vibes. It is very similar, it just has softer and more angles, and grows more every which way. This may seem like a chaotic mess, but if you ever see it flower, it's glorious. The flowers are fairly large, pinkish, and fragrant. It's one of the more floriferous Rhipsalis, flowering multiple times a year. Another clone is this, which doesn't know if it's super long or a bush. It's another one where you never know what you're going to get. However, it also has glorious large yellow flowers. The flowers might be my favorite of any Rhipsalis flower. It is very funky, but it's also one of my favorite. I tend to really gravitate towards the strange ones. The name means something like dissimilar or different. I'm guessing it was in reference to the plant being so peculiar, although knowing some of the history, it might have been to differentiate it from Rhipsalis trigonoides, which was undeniably similar. Rhipsalis serioides is fairly common, but not grown nearly enough. It's unique and beautiful with its 3 to 5 angled, thick, short stem segments that grow into a fascinating, chunky chandelier. The flowers remind me of snowflakes, and the first time I saw them, I was a bit hypnotized for a few days. It was named for its resemblance to some Sirius. It can be grown for quite a while as an upright specimen before it begins to trail. It's rather different and unique even among other Rhipsalis. It's a kooky, fun vibe. Rhipsalis pentaptera is also fairly common. It was named for its typically 5 angled stems. However, contrary to popular belief, it can have something like 3 to 6 angled stems. They are of medium to short length and rather chonky. I wasn't the biggest fan of this species when I first saw it. I was given cuttings for free, and over time it grew on me, so much so that if you tried to take it from me now, I would put up a serious fight to keep it in my home. It's really cute as a small upright plant set on a windowsill. As it grows, it becomes a robust bush that can be set on or in a shelf and draped down the side or hanging. Because of the general shape and growth pattern, it's very versatile in how it can be grown and displayed. Rhipsalis macranthiform kerbergii is another fairly common Rhipsalis. It was named by Dr. Barthlot to honor Dr. Hans Kerberg, a German Rhipsalis enthusiast. Macrantha was in reference to the very small flowers. It has 2 to 7 angled, short, semi-thick stem segments. It is a fairly fast-growing species and does get very long and pendant given enough time. It fills the space well, as it tends to be a thick, bushy plant where many Rhipsalis will grow a bit gangly and need work to fill them out. It does grow in a more tidy pendant manner with little spreading. I do like to keep small specimen of this around to grow in my cabinets, on shelves, or on windowsills. It's so easy care it almost grows itself. It's a very easy, beginner-friendly Rhipsalis, very relaxing, easy vibes. I hope that you've enjoyed looking at epiphytic cacti with these chaining and angly dangling kind of stems. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy cacti growing.